What if the Europe we know is on the brink of fundamental change? What if the ideals of unity, tolerance, and progressive politics that have defined the European project for decades are giving way to a new era of nationalism, populism, and far-right ideology? These aren't hypothetical questions anymore. They're the reality we're facing as far-right parties surge across the continent, from the streets of Paris to the parliaments of Berlin. But why is this happening now? Who are these new political forces? And what does their rise mean for the future of Europe and for the world? Today, we're diving into a topic that's been making headlines across Europe and beyond: the rise of far-right parties in European politics. Recent European Parliament elections have become a significant marker in the rise of far-right parties. These elections, often considered a barometer for political trends across the continent, have revealed some surprising and, for many, concerning results. In several countries, far-right parties have made substantial gains. In France, Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party outperformed President Emmanuel Macron's Renaissance Party, securing twice as many votes. This result was so impactful that it prompted Macron to call a snap parliamentary election, a move that reflects the gravity of the situation. In Germany, the Alternative for Germany, or AfD party, came in second, marking its best-ever performance in European elections. Similar successes were seen in Italy, Austria, and Hungary, where far-right parties topped the polls. These results have sent shockwaves through the political establishment. While mainstream parties still hold a majority of seats in the European Parliament, the far-right's increased presence cannot be ignored. It's worth noting that these elections are often treated as midterm popularity tests for national governments, which can influence voting patterns. This context is crucial for understanding the results, as voters may use these elections to express dissatisfaction with current national leadership rather than solely focusing on EU-level issues. However, we need to be cautious about overstating the magnitude of these results. As some analysts point out, European elections typically have lower voter turnout than national elections. When we account for abstention rates, the proportion of the total voting population supporting far-right parties is smaller than the headline figures might suggest. For instance, in France, while the National Rally secured a significant percentage of votes cast, this represents a smaller portion of the total eligible voting population when considering those who didn't vote. Nevertheless, the trend is clear. Far-right parties are gathering ground and establishing themselves as viable challengers to mainstream politicians. This shift is forcing us to reconsider our understanding of European politics and the factors driving voter behavior. It's not just about the number of seats won, but also about the way these parties are shaping political discourse and pushing mainstream parties to adopt more hardline positions on issues like immigration and national sovereignty. It's important to keep in mind that this shift didn't happen overnight. It's the result of long-term trends and deep-seated issues that have been building for years, if not decades. Now that we've seen the election results, let's dive into the reasons behind the growing appeal of far-right parties. It's a complex issue with multiple factors at play, and understanding these drivers is crucial for grasping the full picture of Europe's changing political landscape. One of the primary drivers is economic dissatisfaction. Many Europeans are struggling with the rising cost of living, stagnant wages, and a sense that the benefits of economic growth aren't reaching them. The economic crisis of 2008 and its lingering effects have left many feeling disenfranchised and skeptical of traditional political and economic structures. Far-right parties have been adept at tapping into this discontent, often blaming globalization, immigration, and the European Union for these economic woes. They present themselves as champions of the common people against a perceived elite, resonating with those who feel left behind by rapid economic changes. Immigration is another hot-button issue that far-right parties have successfully leveraged. In 2023, around 300,000 irregular arrivals were recorded in the EU, and since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Europe has been hosting more than 6 million Ukrainian refugees. The migration crisis of 2015 was a particular turning point, fueling concerns about cultural change, job competition, and strain on public services. Far-right parties have capitalized on these fears, often using inflammatory rhetoric and oversimplified solutions to complex problems. We're also seeing a broader cultural backlash against what some perceive as rapid social changes. This includes resistance to policies promoting diversity, gender equality, and environmental protection. Far-right parties often position themselves as defenders of traditional values and national identity, appealing to those who feel uncomfortable with the pace of social change. This cultural anxiety can be particularly potent in areas experiencing demographic shifts or economic decline. Interestingly, there's been a shift in the demographic appeal of far-right parties. Contrary to the stereotype of far-right supporters being older and less educated, we're seeing increased support among younger voters. In France, for example, Jordan Bardella, the 28-year-old leader of the National Rally, has gained significant popularity among youth through his effective use of social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. This points to a generational aspect of far-right support that challenges conventional wisdom and raises questions about the future trajectory of this trend. Lastly, we can't ignore the role of media and information ecosystems. The rise of social media and alternative news sources has created echo chambers that can reinforce and amplify far-right messaging. It's crucial to note that these factors don't operate in isolation. They interact and reinforce each other, creating a complex web of motivations that drive support for far-right parties. Economic insecurity can fuel cultural anxieties, which in turn can make people more susceptible to anti-immigrant rhetoric. Let's now take a closer look at some of the far-right parties that have been making significant gains across Europe. Each of these parties has its own unique characteristics, but they share common themes in their platforms and rhetoric. Understanding these key players helps us grasp the diversity within the far-right movement and the specific ways it's reshaping European politics. In France, we have the National Rally, led by Marine Le Pen and now Jordan Bardella. This party has undergone a significant rebranding effort, distancing itself from its more extremist past under Jean-Marie Le Pen. They've focused on economic populism and anti-immigration stances, while also trying to present a more moderate image on issues like LGBTQ+ rights and relations with Israel. The party's success in the recent European elections, where it outperformed President Macron's party, underscores its growing mainstream appeal. Germany's Alternative for Germany, or AfD, has become a major force in German politics. The party initially focused on Euroscepticism, but has since shifted towards anti-immigration and anti-Islam positions. Their success in recent elections, particularly in Eastern Germany, has alarmed many observers. The AfD's ability to attract younger voters and its use of social media have been key to its growth, challenging the notion that far-right support is limited to older demographics. In Italy, Giorgia Meloni's Brothers of Italy party has risen to power, with Meloni becoming the country's first female prime minister. While the party has neo-fascist roots, Meloni has attempted to present a more moderate image on the international stage, particularly in her stance on supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression. The Freedom Party in Austria, Vox in Spain, and the Swedish Democrats in Sweden are other examples of far-right parties that have gained significant support in recent years. Each of these parties has tailored its message to local concerns while tapping into broader themes of nationalism and anti-establishment sentiment. For instance, Vox in Spain has focused heavily on opposition to Catalan independence, while the Swedish Democrats have made immigration a central issue. In Eastern Europe, parties like Hungary's Fidesz, led by Viktor Orban, have been in power for years, implementing policies that have raised concerns about democratic backsliding. Orban's illiberal democracy model has inspired other far-right movements across the continent, showcasing how these parties can reshape governance when they gain power. It's important to note that while these parties are often grouped together as far-right, they have significant differences in their specific policy positions and the degree of their extremism. Some, like the National Rally in France, have made efforts to detoxify their image, while others maintain more hardline positions. This diversity makes it challenging to speak of a unified far-right movement in Europe. With the increased presence of far-right parties in the European Parliament and national governments, we need to consider how this might impact policymaking across the continent. While these parties may not hold majorities, their growing influence could shift the political landscape in several key areas, potentially reshaping the future of European integration and cooperation. Immigration policy is likely to be one of the most affected areas. We may see pushes for stricter border controls, reduced asylum acceptances, and potentially even challenges to freedom of movement within the EU. The Migration Pact, approved by the European Parliament in 2023, could face further scrutiny and attempts at revision. Far-right parties often frame immigration as a threat to national identity and security, and their increased influence could lead to more restrictive policies. This could have significant implications for Europe's demographic future and its ability to address labor shortages in certain sectors. Climate policy is another area where we might see significant changes. Many far-right parties are skeptical of aggressive climate action, arguing that it harms economic growth and disproportionately affects working-class voters. This could lead to attempts to water down or delay implementation of the European Green Deal and other climate initiatives. We've already seen this playing out in farmer protests across Europe, where far-right parties have often aligned themselves with those opposing stricter environmental regulations. This tension between environmental protection and economic concerns is likely to be a major battleground in European politics moving forward. In terms of foreign policy, the picture is more complex. While some far-right parties, particularly in Eastern Europe, are strongly pro-NATO and anti-Russia, others have taken more Russia-friendly positions. This could complicate EU unity on issues like support for Ukraine or sanctions against Russia. The far-right's generally skeptical stance towards multilateralism could also impact Europe's role on the global stage, potentially weakening the EU's collective voice in international affairs. Economic policy might see a shift towards more protectionist measures and resistance to further EU integration. Far-right parties often advocate for prioritizing national interests over EU-wide policies, which could impact everything from trade agreements to fiscal policy coordination. This could lead to increased economic nationalism and potentially threaten some of the core principles of the EU single market. We should also consider the potential impact on social policies. Many far-right parties advocate for more conservative social values, which could lead to challenges to LGBTQ+ rights, gender equality initiatives, and multiculturalism policies. This could create tensions within the EU's fundamental values and potentially lead to more conflicts between national governments and EU institutions. However, it's important to note that the ability of far-right parties to directly implement their agenda may be limited. They often face strong opposition from other parties and civil society organizations. Additionally, EU institutions have mechanisms in place to protect fundamental rights and democratic values, which could act as a check on some of the more extreme policy proposals. Perhaps the most significant impact might be indirect, by pulling mainstream parties to the right on certain issues. We've already seen examples of center-right and even some center-left parties adopting tougher stances on immigration or EU integration in response to far-right pressure. This mainstreaming of far-right ideas could have a more lasting impact on European politics than the direct influence of far-right parties themselves. While the rise of far-right parties in Europe has raised many concerns, it's important to consider all aspects of this political shift. One potential benefit is increased political engagement. The rise of far-right parties has energized parts of the electorate that previously felt ignored or disenfranchised. We've seen higher voter turnout in many elections where far-right parties have been prominent. This increased participation, regardless of political leaning, can be seen as positive for democratic processes. Another argument is that the success of far-right parties forces mainstream parties to address issues they may have previously neglected. For instance, concerns about immigration, national identity, and the pace of globalization are now at the forefront of political discourse. This could lead to more comprehensive policy discussions and potentially more balanced approaches to these complex issues. Some proponents suggest that the presence of far-right parties in parliaments can act as a safety valve, allowing frustrations to be expressed within the democratic system rather than through extra-parliamentary means. This perspective posits that it's better to have these views represented and debated openly rather than driven underground. There's also an argument that the challenge posed by far-right parties could lead to a renewal and reinvigoration of centrist and left-wing politics. As mainstream parties are forced to compete with far-right messaging, they may develop more effective communication strategies and policy proposals to address voter concerns. From an EU perspective, some argue that the pressure from Eurosceptic far-right parties could lead to necessary reforms within the EU, making it more responsive to concerns about sovereignty and bureaucracy. This could potentially result in a more efficient and locally responsive union. Economically, some far-right parties advocate for protectionist policies which, proponents argue, could benefit domestic industries and workers in the short term. While economists generally favor free trade, there's ongoing debate about the distribution of benefits from globalization. It's crucial to note that these potential benefits are speculative and often contested. Many would argue that the risks and negative impacts of far-right policies outweigh any potential benefits. Additionally, history of far-right governance has often led to the erosion of democratic norms and minority rights. As we conclude our deep dive into the rise of far-right parties in Europe, it's clear that this trend is reshaping the political landscape in ways that will impact us all. We want to hear your thoughts on this crucial issue. What's your take on the rise of the far-right in Europe? Do you see similar trends in your own country? Share your perspectives in the comments section below. If you found this exploration valuable, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're committed to bringing you in-depth analysis of the most pressing political issues of our time, and we don't want you to miss out on future episodes. And hey, while you're at it, why not go the extra mile and click that bell icon? By turning on notifications, you'll be the first to know when we drop new content. Trust me, with the pace of trade in global politics these days, you'll want to stay ahead of the curve.